Greetings, gamers. I'm Mark.
And I'm Manuel.
And welcome to Tabletop Throwdown. Okay, we are here with our guest and friend Hunter. Welcome, Hunter.
Thanks so much for having me.
You're welcome. We're going to show his Cabal for the miniature game Rain in Hell. But first, before we do that, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself? What do you enjoy playing and how long have you been gaming?
Okay, so my name's Hunter, also known as Hunter40K on TikTok. But I'm all about games. I started as a kid with video games, of course, but as I got older, I found that board games and tabletop games were just more fun. You could have your friends seated around a table and really engage that way. And then I found that there are endless types of role-playing and war games. And Rain in Hell is a favorite of mine out of all the ones I've played, because it reminds me a lot of things I like about 40K, but condensed to be more simpler and easy for everyone to play.
Handful of models, right?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Why don't you tell us a little bit about Rain in Hell, Manuel?
For those of you new to this setting, Rain in Hell is a miniatures agnostic skirmish game from Snarling Badger Studios, in which you lead your cabal of demons to rule over the ruins of hell in a fun and fast-paced tabletop miniatures game. Now, there are tons of how to play and other videos explaining Rain in Hell. You can watch those prior to this if you like, or dive right in with us and see what the denizens of the underworld are up to.
So the first time Hunter and I played Rain in Hell, we were at a local convention, and we were doing a scenario run by someone, and it was three of us, and the scenario was that we had to appease an enraged customer named Karen who was demanding to see the manager of Hell. She was randomly stomping around the battlefield. When we got too close, she attacked. And Hunter, why don't you tell us what happened with that scenario, because it was an absolute blast.
Okay, well, her name was Karen, but Karen is a huge winged demon lord that was threatening to destroy our zone and ruin our warbands. So because she was way too powerful, she destroyed one of my strongest warriors right off the bat. So we had to turn to appealing to her nature. So all the leaders of our warbands tried to gather together and appeal to the authority of Karen. And at the end of the game, we tallied our points and found out who got on her good side the best, which was fortunately my team.
Yep. You appeased the customer, and you also won the game, and we were fighting each other a little bit as well in there, so it was really kind of wild and dynamic, wasn't it?
Yeah, there was no shortage of bloodshed. Karen had crushed my spined demon in one hit, and I think I'd eaten some other demons along the way.
Yeah, lots of succubi running around as well, so that was perfect. You know, one thing I love about this game is the creation of your cabal and how you pick a philosophy and the motivations that drive that creativity to select your minor and major demons. With no official range, you have a whole slew of models to choose from. What is your cabal's name, Hunter, and can you tell us a little bit about it?
Yeah, so in this game, they don't give you a lot of background. They kind of allow you to just go at it. They give you some setting ideas, but you're kind of allowed to customize it any way you want, which is why you can choose any models you like. And that was kind of where I got inspiration for my team. After reading the book and checking out some models, I decided to go with the Earthbound Cabal, so I named my team Brizzlets Earthbound, based on the name of my leader here. But, of course, to buy my first models, I had to go shopping online and look up some general demons, and I thought that the ones from this range looked really good and appropriate for the setting, at least in my imagination.
And which range is that?
So these are Dark Heaven Legends by Reaper Miniatures. I'm not sure how old they are. I think that these models were produced in the 2000s, maybe 20 years ago. But one thing that's interesting about the characters, at least, is that they're all made of metal, which makes them a little bit heavier than normal and makes them a bit trickier in the modeling and painting section. But having a cohesive unit where they're all from the same range, I thought was worth it.
They look really good, I think.
Now, what is in progress and what is completed when it comes to the development of your cabal's philosophy, which is kind of your faction, and tell us a little bit more about that.
So the story behind my faction is one of the Earthbound philosophy. So out of all the demons in hell, some of them would actually like to return the link to Earth and go and claim the Earth for themselves and enjoy an untold bounty of fresh human souls. And that's what my team wants to do. So I kind of just chose my demons. You know, they don't really particularly look like, I guess, Earthbound necessarily, but that's their philosophy. But however, my leader I chose to be a schemer, one who uses guile and trickery to kind of get her way.
Yeah.
And so she has seized power and is going to try and use it to breach the wall between hell and earth, using both friendship, alliances, but also cruelty, plenty of cruelty.
And those are like your essence and ability in the game, yeah?
Yeah, definitely.
So
They're reflected in the game with the mindset behind the philosophy. So
really,
she's not a bruiser. She can easily run away. Her leader has wings, so she can get herself out of tight situations. But their abilities make up for it.
well, speaking of wings, let's take a closer look at some of your minis and talk a little bit about each one and kind of what inspired you.
All right, I'd love
Yeah.
to. All right, so first of all, we got my leader here. Her name is Brizalith, and she is a schemer, technically, in the game. And a little bit about her story is that she was once a common devil, that's reflected in this red skin, as you might be able to see. But as a common devil, she worked under the guidance of her master, Sokor. And Sokor was a wizard and a warlord who kept her protected in his tower. However, that wasn't enough for Brizalith, and her demonic urges took over, and like all who tread the dark side, she had to betray her master and escape with what she could steal. However, the treasure that she took is also dangerous and threatens her life, and also hell as they know it.
That's a great way to connect the theme of your minis and the style with the background, so you come with a story before the game even begins. I really like that.
Yeah, it almost asks you to develop your story. It gives you very little to make your characters based on. It tells you to just go wild, really.
So I have a question regarding that. The backstory and the philosophy of your Cabal seems to play a really big role in how you play the game. How does that play into the mechanics of the game? Do you get like bonuses and things of that nature for being a certain faction or a certain philosophy versus another?
Yeah, so I think there's 6 different factions, but each of them play a little bit differently. They get bonuses to certain attributes just to kind of reflect the way that they would wage war in the name of their faction. The Earthbound, because they would like to leave Hell, they get a speed boost, and they also get advanced mobility options. Basically, they're on the move, and they're always ready to fly away. However, the Lords of Hell, I believe, just get additional souls. They get additional guys and additional souls because they're happy to be in Hell, and they just want to build where they're at.
Collect and secure, yes.
Yeah.
That's cool. Amazing.
So what's the next mini that you'd like to talk about?
Okay, so of course we got the leader here, but next would be the Devout. The Devout would be like your lieutenant.
Sometimes a bodyguard, kind of, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
In some factions, your Devout will be bigger than your leader. In this one, she's the same size, and for the Earthbound, your Devout is a succubus. So mine is a succubus, and her story is that Brizalith did not merely summon the succubus, but she charmed one. In fact, this succubus was found in bondage by Brizalith, and when she freed her, they cut a deal to work together. However, Brizalith needed a lieutenant to lead her troops, and so the succubus, whose work before was not so martial, was now called to lead forces of evil to invade Earth. So a succubus, of course, has her own motivations, her own ideas, but this doesn't concern Brizalith at the moment.
At the moment.
Right.
Yeah. What paints did you use for these?
I'm glad you asked. So to kind of complete a red skin tone, I started with Citadel's, Mephiston red, like crimson type of red, and then I built it up with Bestigor flesh, like an orange peach, and layered it at the top with another orange. Can't remember what it's called right now. My paints are over there.
She got a nice highlight going on.
Yeah. It's all about just starting with your base color and then adding warmer colors on the highlights. And with this, you have to blend really nicely to kind of resemble skin and not metal. But
Yeah.
that's why they're not done yet. It takes a lot of work. Not gonna lie about that. Although I use a different color scheme for my beasts here.
Yeah, let's talk about them too.
Okay, so the beasts have different base sizes, of course. These guys are actually larger, just due to the rules of the game. But in my story, these denizens of hell are a little more than monsters with animal vigor and simple minds, hell-bent on eating souls. This one was once known as Vorox before it was corrupted by sitting in a hellish swamp and gorging itself on its victims. In the game, tentacle beasts are able to snare their enemies and stop them from moving so much, so that will add to my advantage of being a mobile army. This one is also a tentacle beast, and veteran D&D players may recognize it as a different type of demon, but because it's miniatures agnostic, I went with my own mythology behind this one. So this guy's name used to be Golgo, and he was once a mortal man who was corrupted by the succubus herself, and now is brought into the warband.
Yeah, the game is really rad because it gives you a kind of a style of your demon, such as a tentacle beast, and then you can go wild with what direction you want to go in with how to resemble it. You can use some of your favorite newer models, older models, and it's a perfect example here to have two vastly different ones. But
but they play the same. Yeah, I thought that'd be fun. But it's all about the tentacles.
From a hobby perspective, I could see that would be really enjoyable because being able to select from different ranges of figures, whether it be Reaper Bones or Citadel or any other manufacturer out there, you can really hone the look and feel of your warband or your Cabal by just picking the models that you feel are appropriate and meet your vision.
Yeah, the possibilities are really endless. Like, off the bat, what do you think you would choose for your army? Like, just considering what the infinite possibilities that are in hell. Because there's so many things, like you could do ice demons, you could do like very human-looking demons who are meant to deceive.
Yeah, I've seen like corporate men in suits.
Right, yeah, exactly. The sky's the limit. Being mostly a sci-fi gamer myself, I see the possibility of doing something like a biomechanoid kind of an approach, using things that would be similar to maybe aliens, like Aliens, the movie Aliens, type of creatures, or biomechanical types of creatures and characters.
Could we add in a dash of Cenobite just for fun?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Bring some sort of a sci-fi hell kind of a feel to it.
I would love to see that.
That'd be awesome.
That sounds so much fun. Like, I went with like a classic Red Devil type of vibe, but I really like the more like contemporary sci-fi demons too. That's so much fun.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. So continuing on, then we have a really small guy down here in the end. What is he?
Yeah, so this guy is known as a Mephit, and as you can see, a Mephit is a diminutive denizen of hell. They are adept at flying very fast and upsetting the enemy's forces. So in my particular army, Mephits are diminutive hellborn, whose identities are singular and obsessive. These miniature evils are quick to violence, where any other being would be afraid, overjoyed, tickled, or confused. The Mephits that serves Brizolith's warband are named Vex, Rebel, and Backstab. Each are unruly and foolish, though monstrous. And I plan on adopting a couple more Mephits into the warband, but this would be my starter. But as I reap more souls, I'll definitely add a couple more flying guys in there.
Adoption is a good thing.
Yeah.
What's this guy?
Okay, so over here, this is actually a terrain piece that I'll bring with me to add to games, but in Rain and Hell, because everything's so customizable, you can really bring whatever type of terrain and environment you want to the game. So if you have a shrine, this will actually help any of your monsters that are within 1 inch of it, which is good to kind of boost your defenses and rally at a point against the enemy's invading forces. And it gives you a lot of fun stuff to paint too. This one is kind of filled with blood.
Yeah, for people that are really into the hobby element, you have the whole terrain world as well that you can work on, which is exciting.
Yeah, I remember at the event that we went to, there was some ingenious terrain made out of 3D printing supports.
Yeah.
Just the spiny garbage you get when you 3D print. They're able to turn it into something hellish because it looks out of this world.
It looked like barbs or something.
Yeah.
That's pretty clever.
Yeah, it was pretty neat. The last two I'll talk about are these guys here. So this one represents the armored demon. The armored demon would be the biggest health bar in your warband, able to take on fights and last. And indeed, it was this guy who stood against Karen and was able to stop her in her tracks while the succubus worked her magic. So, in Brizalith's Earthbound, this armored demon actually has a pretty cool story. So, Sokor, the master of the schemer, Brizalith, also commanded a slew of armored warriors. During the mission in which their commander perished, their forces disbanded and fled for their lives, all except for Gallic, Brizalith's bodyguard. An elite among his peers, it is no wonder he survived the insurrection, though he is wisely quiet about his motives.
In a lot of games, this character would be called a tank. The big
Yeah.
heavy bruiser that can really get down and dirty and fight for you. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I thought it was interesting to kind of go with an unarmored guy, because he is bare. You can see a lot of his muscles, but he's got a big old shield, and he looks like he's ready to fight. He looks a bit more aggressive than the other demons, so I just kind of attributed that to his master of warfare. So he's just a really good combatant. He won't die immediately, not like this guy. So this ferocious monster is called the Spined Demon.
Nice.
I've seen another Spined Demon in combat before. It's a good choice when you want to deal a lot of damage quickly. But his life bar is not as big as the armored demon. So this guy, his story as it pertains to my warband, is that he is a demon that has been corrupted and become nothing more than a nightmare made flesh. So unlike beasts of hell, the spined demon is wicked, ferocious, and cunning in its pursuit of blood and souls. The worst of corrupted demons are fed to these fiends. This one was known as Gilvar long before it took its fill of rotten souls. After Brizalith and Namora the succubus found its true name, they captured it for the Cabal's fighting force. So basically the leaders are able to use friendship and wit to get people to fight with them, as opposed to just forcing them into line, maybe like the Lords of Hell, or the brokers who use debt to force people to fight for them.
Yeah, you go the charisma route, which is
Yeah.
good. Yes.
Yeah, definitely.
So on that note, is there anything you're looking forward to trying in the game in the future? Maybe any cabals or different scenarios or anything like that?
Well, I have been thinking about developing some terrain, actually. One of my goals is to actually get into making a board, which I would do like a dark swamp type of area. With the swamp board, basically, when you're within the dark rivers, you'll get slowed, which would be good for me as a speed team who can fly over these things. But it'd be really a lot of fun to introduce like a muddy dark swamp. It would fit the tentacle ideas. And it would really match just any demon who wants to walk through it with a dark, like purple and green, sort of fantastic yet terrifying swamp zone. That's something that I really have yet to like try out, because I'm mostly a mini painter.
Yeah.
But terrain building is something I'm looking forward to getting better at doing.
That's really cool.
Well, Hunter, as you know, this is a lot of fun to play. Manuel's interested in giving it a shot. Tell us a little bit about what you need to dive in.
Alright, so unlike other war games, this one's real simple. All you need is the book, of course, some D12s, some regular dice for attacking, a pencil, and a friend is willing to dive into hell with you.
That is a good friend indeed.
Yeah, we could all use one of those, right?
Thank you for being here today.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you so much for inviting me to the show.
Great.
So welcome.
Thank you for joining us on our descent into the infernal. Remember that it's free to give us a like or subscribe or a comment down below. We'd like to hear if you enjoy Rain in Hell as well. keep playing, keep painting, and join us again next time for something brand new. Thank you so much.
Goodbye.
Thanks.